When God created humanity, He did not crown anyone with pride. He crowned us with the gift of choice, humility, and awareness. Yet among all the flaws that chain the soul, arrogance stands as one of the most dangerous. The arrogant person is not only distant from people, they become distant from heaven itself. God said that those with pride in their hearts, those who think they are above others, will not enter heaven. Because arrogance is not simply a behavior, it is a wall between the soul and divine mercy. Think for a moment when you refuse to apologize because you think you're always right. When you look down on someone because they have less wealth, education, or beauty, what are you really doing? You are acting as if God's blessings made you better than others, instead of more responsible. The truth is, everything you have, your voice, your face, your talent, your success, is a loan, not a possession. God can give, and God can take away in an instant. Arrogance begins in small things. It's when we interrupt people mid-sentence, when we mock someone's accent, or when we judge someone's clothes. But in the eyes of heaven, arrogance is not measured by money or status, it is measured by how we treat others, especially those who can do nothing for us. The arrogant heart forgets that all humans are made of the same dust and return to the same ground. No crown, no fame, no position will matter when we stand before God. Humility, on the other hand, is not weakness. It is quiet strength. The humble person doesn't need to prove anything to the world because they know their worth comes from the Creator, not from people. The prophet once said that even a particle of pride in the heart can prevent entry into paradise. Why? Because pride blinds us from truth. It turns our hearts into mirrors that only reflect ourselves. Arrogance whispers, "I deserve more," while humility whispers, "I am grateful." When we become arrogant, we stop learning, we stop forgiving, we stop listening. The door to spiritual growth closes because we believe we already know everything. But heaven is for those who bow their heads not out of fear, but out of gratitude. Ask yourself, when was the last time you said, "I was wrong"? When was the last time you admitted you didn't know? When was the last time you looked at someone who had less and truly saw them as your equal? The arrogant person walks through life as if the earth belongs to them. The humble one walks knowing the earth itself will one day cover them. God loves the heart that bends before Him, not the one that boasts before others. Arrogance was the sin of Satan. It was the first rebellion against divine order. He refused to bow, thinking he was superior. And that same disease lives in hearts that refuse humility. Arrogance can make you win arguments but lose your soul. It can make you look powerful on earth but powerless before heaven. If you want to rise, bow. If you want honor, be kind. If you want to be remembered, be humble. Every arrogant person may look unstoppable for a while, but time, loss, and death humble every soul. The greatest kings have turned to dust. The richest have been buried with nothing but a cloth. What remains is only your heart and what it carried. So, when God says the arrogant will not enter heaven, He is not being cruel, He is being truthful. Heaven is a place of peace, and pride has no peace in it. Heaven is a place of light, and arrogance darkens the soul. To enter heaven, your heart must be lighter than your ego. Let go of the need to be right all the time. Let go of the urge to prove your worth through power. Let go of the illusion that you are above anyone else. Look around you, the child, the old man, the cleaner, the scholar, they are all souls walking different paths, but all heading toward the same Creator. Humility doesn't mean you think less of yourself, it means you think of yourself less. It means you place compassion above competition, truth above titles, sincerity above social status. The humble heart does not seek the highest seat, it is content sitting close to the ground, because it knows that true greatness lies in service. So today, if you feel pride rising in you, remember, even the tallest mountain was once beneath the sea. Life can reverse in a moment. The heart that bows before God never breaks before the world. Choose humility. It is not just a virtue, it is a key. Because heaven's gate does not open to the proud. Let your success make you softer, not harder. Let your blessings make you thankful, not boastful. Let your faith make you gentle, not judgmental. If you ever start to feel superior, remember there was once a drop of water that became you. And one day, that same body will become dust again. But the soul that remained humble, that soul will rise. There is something deeply tragic about the human heart when it begins to wear a mask before God. The hypocrite is not the person who sins and regrets. No, that person is still alive inside, still fighting, still reaching for mercy. The hypocrite is the one who sins and smiles, who speaks of goodness while secretly nurturing evil, who prays with their lips while their heart laughs in deceit. When God says that hypocrites will not enter heaven, He is not speaking only of religious hypocrisy, He is speaking of all forms of falsehood that corrupt the soul from within. A hypocrite's life is like a theater. Every day, they perform a role. They act kind before people, but their kindness has a price. They speak of truth when eyes are on them, but their hearts tremble when alone. Hypocrisy is not always loud, it can live silently behind polite smiles, rehearsed apologies, and words that sound pure but come from impure intentions. It is one of the most dangerous diseases of the heart because it fools others, and eventually, it fools even the self. In every era, God warns humanity of the double-faced, those who claim belief but betray in secret, those who shake hands with one person and stab another when they turn away. Hypocrisy is the art of deception, but the ultimate victim of that deception is the hypocrite themselves, because they live divided, one half facing the world, and one half hidden in shadows. How can a soul divided against itself ever find peace? How can a person who wears masks before people hope to face the one before whom nothing can be hidden? There is an old saying, a lie needs 1,000 lies to survive. The hypocrite builds their world on fragile threads of falsehood, and one day, one simple truth can make that entire structure collapse. You can deceive people for years, but you cannot deceive God for a second. He sees what is whispered in your mind, what is planned in your heart, what is done in the dark when no eyes are watching. Hypocrisy is not simply dishonesty, it is the deliberate betrayal of light while pretending to live in it. When you speak words of faith but your actions serve greed, you are lying to the Creator who gave you those words. When you claim to love others but secretly envy them, your love is poisoned. When you present yourself as righteous while privately plotting harm, you are not clever, you are cursed by your own deceit. Hypocrisy rots the soul like hidden rust. You may not see it on the surface, but eventually, it weakens the entire structure. God detests hypocrisy because it breaks the bridge of trust between humans and heaven. The hypocrite pretends to believe, but belief is not a costume, it is a state of the heart. Real faith doesn't live in the tongue. It lives in the choices we make when no one can see us. Hypocrisy is like planting a seed of poison in the soil of your spirit. You may water it with fake smiles, but one day, it will grow into something that will choke you from the inside. Imagine standing before God, your lips trembling as you claim belief, but your record filled with lies, betrayal, and manipulation. Imagine the silence that follows when all your masks fall off, when the truth you hid from people is read aloud by the angels. Heaven is a place of truth, sincerity, and light. How can a soul filled with lies dwell there? How can one who has lived pretending to love God ever walk in His eternal presence? Hypocrisy doesn't always look evil. Sometimes, it wears a holy robe. It attends prayers, it gives charity, it speaks in soft tones, but everything it does is to be seen, not to serve. That is why even religious hypocrisy is more dangerous than sin. A sinner knows they are wrong. A hypocrite believes they are right. The sinner may cry and repent. The hypocrite performs piety to gain reputation. But God does not judge by the appearance of hands folded in prayer. He judges by the intention that made them fold. The greatest tragedy of hypocrisy is not how it deceives others, it is how it disconnects you from your true self. When you live pretending, you start losing track of who you are. You start becoming the very mask you created. The more you fake goodness, the further you drift from the real light of goodness. The hypocrite becomes a stranger to their own soul, but remember, hypocrisy is not always loud or visible. Sometimes it is subtle when we preach patience but secretly hold grudges, when we post kindness online but ignore the suffering beside us, when we smile at people we dislike, not to be kind, but to stay comfortable. The hypocrite does not live for truth, they live for approval. They build their worth on perception instead of purity, and yet, even for such a heart, mercy is not impossible. The moment the mask falls, the moment a hypocrite dares to look at their reflection and admit, I have been false, that is the first spark of redemption. But until that moment arrives, hypocrisy blocks the light of repentance. You cannot heal from a lie you refuse to admit. God's warning that hypocrites will not enter heaven is not about punishment. It is about purity. Heaven is not a place for masks, it is a realm for souls who have stripped away all pretenses. It is for those who have faced themselves fully, who have lived truth even when it hurt, who have chosen sincerity over show. Heaven is for those who would rather be honest and misunderstood than praised and fake. So, ask yourself, do I live in truth, or do I live in performance? Do I worship because I love, or because I fear judgment from people? Do I give because I care, or because I want to be seen as generous? Do I act kind because I want to heal others, or because I want to look good? Every lie we live builds a distance between us and heaven. Every truth we live brings us closer. Remove the mask. Speak what you mean what you say. Pray because you love the one who listens, not because you want to appear holy. Be good when no one can reward you. Forgive when no one will praise you for it. Live with the kind of honesty that would still shine even if the world went dark. Hypocrisy might win applause, but truth wins eternity. Pretending might make you look righteous, but sincerity makes you become righteous. God does not want actors in his paradise. He wants souls that have bled, fallen, and still chosen to be real. Because in the end, when all the illusions fade, only one thing remains, your truth. And only those who lived it will walk through the gates of heaven. There is a hidden poison that kills the heart slowly, silently, and completely. It is the inability to forgive. God has made it clear through his words and actions that mercy is not just his attribute. It is his command to humanity. Yet there are souls who walk through life holding grudges like treasures, feeding on resentment as if it were strength. They smile, they move forward, but inside, they are prisoners chained not by others, but by their own refusal to let go. When God said that the unforgiving will not enter heaven, he did not say it out of anger, he said it as a warning, because heaven is built on mercy, and there is no room for hatred in a place made of peace. Forgiveness is not easy, and God never said it would be. But he did say that he forgives those who forgive others. When you hold bitterness inside, it does not punish your enemy, it punishes your soul. You begin to carry the weight of every wound like stones in your heart. You start to lose joy, peace, and lightness. Every thought becomes heavy, every memory sharp, and even your prayers feel like whispers bouncing off a closed wall. Because how can you ask the most merciful for forgiveness while refusing to show mercy yourself? Think about the way God deals with us. Every single day, he sees our faults, our mistakes, our betrayals, yet he wakes us up in the morning, feeds us, gives us air, gives us time. That is mercy. And when we, mere mortals, refuse to forgive someone for what they said or did, we are closing the same door of mercy that we hope will open for us. The unforgiving heart believes that revenge brings peace. But revenge never heals. It only transfers pain. It passes the wound from one soul to another, and the cycle of hurt never ends. God wants us to rise above that cycle, to be stronger than the pain, not slaves to it. He wants us to reflect his light on earth, and his light is forgiveness. The truth is, forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It is about freeing yourself from it. When you forgive, you are not saying, what they did was right, you are saying, what they did will not control me anymore. The unforgiving soul lives trapped in a moment that no longer exists. They replay it again and again, feeding anger like fire, until that fire consumes everything good within them. But forgiveness extinguishes that fire. It does not erase the past, but it gives you power over it. God has promised his mercy to those who show mercy. Imagine standing before him on the day of judgment, your book of deeds open. You hope that he forgives your anger, your lies, your impatience, your wrongs. And then he asks, did you forgive others as I forgave you? What will you answer? Heaven is not for perfect people, it is for people who choose love over hate, grace over revenge. The unforgiving cannot enter heaven because they carry what heaven has no space for: resentment. There are people who will hurt you deeply, sometimes without regret, sometimes without even knowing. And you will feel every part of your heart asking for justice, for revenge, for something to make it even. But God says, leave it to me, because his justice is perfect, and yours is not. When you try to become the judge, you lose your peace. When you hand the case to God, you gain peace beyond understanding. Even science tells us that anger and hatred destroy the body. They raise your blood pressure, weaken your immunity, cloud your mind. But forgiveness heals. It lowers your stress, clears your mind, and makes space for joy. The act of forgiving is not just spiritual, it is biological healing. God created us this way, to live lighter, freer, softer. The hardest forgiveness is often for the people closest to us. A parent, a sibling, a friend, a lover. The people we expected the most from are often the ones who break us most deeply. But those are also the places where forgiveness shines brightest. When you forgive the person who hurt you most, you are not weak. You are reflecting divine strength. You are saying, "You hurt me, but you will not define me. I release you, and I release myself." Many people think forgiveness means reconciliation. It doesn't. You can forgive someone and still choose to never let them close again. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means remembering without anger. It means replacing pain with wisdom. It means learning the lesson without reliving the suffering. An unforgiving soul dies a little every day. They may look calm, but inside, there is a storm that never ends. Their prayers lose sincerity, because bitterness fills the space where peace should live. Their relationships become shallow, because trust cannot grow in the soil of resentment. They cannot truly love, because love cannot coexist with hate. And when such a soul meets God, it meets the truth that it carried anger for years instead of letting God heal it. God's mercy is endless, but He expects His creation to mirror that mercy in small ways. When you forgive, you are not doing someone else a favor, you are doing your soul a favor. Forgiveness is not a gift to the offender, it is freedom for the forgiver. It is like cutting the chain that has tied your spirit to pain. And once you do, you start to breathe differently, live differently, pray differently. Remember this: the person who hurt you will face their own moment of truth. You don't have to be the punisher. Life has its own justice. God sees what they did. He sees your tears, your silence, your pain. And when you choose forgiveness, He rewards you with peace that no revenge could ever bring. The prophet once said, "Show mercy to those on earth, and the one in heaven will show mercy to you." That is not a poetic line, it is divine law. The unforgiving will not enter heaven not because God rejects them, but because they reject the very quality that makes heaven what it is: peace. You cannot live eternally in light if you still carry darkness within you. You cannot swim in an ocean of mercy while clinging to rocks of hate. Heaven is for hearts that are clean, not perfect, but clean. So, if someone has hurt you, take a deep breath. Whisper their name in prayer. Say, "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." Do this not once, but every time the pain returns. Because forgiveness is not a single act, it is a lifelong practice. It is choosing healing over hate again and again until the wound no longer defines you. One day, when you stand before God, He will look into your heart and say, "You forgave when you could have hated. You showed mercy when you could have cursed. You chose peace when you could have chosen pain." And that moment will be worth every tear, every prayer, every effort to forgive. Because that is the heart that heaven welcomes. Truth is the foundation upon which heaven stands. Every word God has ever spoken is truth, eternal, pure, and unchanging. And yet, among all the flaws that destroy the soul, lying is one of the most dangerous. God said that the liar, the deceiver, the manipulator, those who twist truth for gain, will not enter heaven. Because a lying heart cannot coexist with divine light. Lies are not just words, they are shadows that cover the soul, separating it from purity and peace. Lies are small at first. They begin as excuses. "I didn't mean to." It is just a little white lie. It won't hurt anyone. But a lie is like a spark. Once you light it, it can grow into a fire that consumes everything. You tell one lie to cover another, and before long, your entire life becomes a performance. You start to forget who you really are beneath all the stories you've created. A liar can deceive others for a while, but they cannot escape the truth forever. Because truth doesn't disappear, it waits. It waits quietly, patiently, until the day it rises like the sun, exposing everything hidden in darkness. A lie can destroy trust in a moment, even if it took years to build. You can rebuild a house after it burns, but once trust is broken, it is like shattered glass. You can put the pieces together, but it will never be whole again. The liar believes that deception brings control. But deception brings only fear, fear of being caught, fear of being exposed, fear of losing what was never truly yours. Living in lies is like walking through life with a heavy mask on your face. It looks strong, but it suffocates your soul. God created the human tongue to speak truth, to express gratitude, to lift others, not to deceive. Every time you lie, you misuse one of the most sacred gifts given to humanity, speech. Words have power. They shape reality. And when you twist them, you twist reality itself. A society built on lies collapses, just as a person built on falsehood eventually crumbles. That is why God detests lying so deeply. Because lies poison everything they touch of families, friendships, love, and faith. Deception is not just about words. There are people who deceive with silence, with smiles, with promises they never intend to keep. There are those who manipulate emotions to get what they want, who pretend to care only to use others. These are the hidden liars, the ones who act pure but carry deceit in their hearts. God sees them all. You can hide your lies from people, but you cannot hide them from the one who knows your thoughts before you even think them. A liar might fool the world, but they can never fool their own conscience. Deep inside, even the most skilled deceiver feels the weight of their falsehood. They know they have betrayed trust, twisted truth, hurt hearts, and that guilt slowly corrodes the soul. Lies never leave peacefully. They haunt the liar like ghosts whispering in the night. And the more one lies, the quieter their conscience becomes, until silence turns to darkness. Truth, on the other hand, is light. It may be painful at times, but it cleanses. It heals, it purifies. When you tell the truth, you stand naked before the world, but you also stand free. There is nothing to hide, nothing to remember, nothing to cover. Truth makes you fearless because you have nothing to lose. The liar always runs. The truthful always rests. God rewards truthfulness because it reflects His nature. Every act of honesty brings your soul closer to Him. When you speak the truth even when it costs you, you rise in His sight. But when you lie to gain comfort, status, or approval, you sell your peace for temporary safety. Lies may protect you for a moment, but they will destroy you in the end. There is an old wisdom: a single lie discovered is enough to make you question every truth expressed. This is why liars destroy not only others but themselves. No one believes them, not even when they finally tell the truth. Trust, once broken, is like spilled water, impossible to gather again. And when God says the liar will not enter heaven, He means that heaven cannot hold souls that refuse to live in truth. Heaven is built on transparency, purity, and sincerity. Lies are the opposite of all three. Deception can wear many faces. Sometimes it looks harmless, sometimes it looks helpful. But every lie, no matter how small, creates distance between you and God, because every lie says, "I do not trust that truth is enough." And when you do not trust truth, you do not trust God, because God is the ultimate truth. That is why deceit is not just a sin. It is a betrayal of faith itself. Look around. Every broken heart, every betrayal, every shattered friendship began with a lie. Lies destroy nations and families alike. They break children's hearts, divide communities, and kill love. Because love cannot survive without truth. The liar may gain the world for a time, but they lose heaven for eternity. What is the value of success built on lies if it costs your soul? Or than ego more than fear? Lies rot the spirit. Truth revives it. Pride, it is the oldest sin known to creation. It was pride that made Lucifer fall from heaven. It was pride that made him say, "I will ascend above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high." And it is that same pride that still separates so many souls from God today. Pride blinds, it deceives, it hardens the heart. It makes a person believe they are their own God. The arrogant believe they need no forgiveness, no mercy, no correction. And God says clearly in His word, "I detest the proud heart." Though they join forces, none will go unpunished. The proud are those who walk through life thinking they are untouchable. They take credit for everything but give gratitude for nothing. They build towers out of their own achievements, only to realize too late that their foundations were built on sand. The arrogant do not bow to anyone, not even their Creator. They think humility is weakness, when in truth, humility is divine strength. Pride destroys relationships, families, and nations. It separates humans from each other and from God Himself. Look at the world around you. How many souls are ruled by arrogance? The person who cannot say I am sorry, the one who always has to be right, the one who refuses to listen, who mocks faith, who boasts about their power and success while forgetting that every heartbeat, every breath, every second of life was given, not earned. Pride whispers lies that sound like truth. You don't need anyone, you did this all yourself, you are better than them, and soon the heart becomes its own idol, worshipping itself. God said He resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. The proud reject His hand, while the humble fall to their knees and find strength. Pride convinces you that you don't need grace, and that is the deadliest deception of all. Heaven is not a place for those who worship themselves. It is a home for those who bow in awe of something greater. There is a story that echoes through time, the Tower of Babel. Humanity once tried to build a tower that could reach heaven. They said, "Let us make a name for ourselves," but God saw their pride, and in a moment, He confused their tongues and scattered them. The lesson is clear: whenever humans try to replace God with their own glory, destruction follows. Pride always precedes a fall. The proud soul often appears confident on the outside, but inside there is constant insecurity. Because pride is not peace, it has pressure. The arrogant constantly compare, constantly compete, constantly crave validation. They live trapped in the need to prove something to the world. But true strength comes from humility, the quiet power that doesn't need to shout. The humble person can look up and say, "I need help." The proud cannot. The humble can forgive because they know they too have been forgiven. The proud hold grudges because they think they are better than others. The humble can serve others without losing dignity. The proud think serving is beneath them. The humble can love fully, while the proud only love themselves. God's kingdom is upside down compared to the world's. The world celebrates pride as self-promotion, arrogance, dominance, but heaven celebrates humility. The world says, "Exalt yourself," but God says, "Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted." Think about that. In heaven, crowns are laid down, not worn with pride. The angels themselves bow before God in perfect humility. No arrogance can enter that holy space. There is a moment in life for every soul when God breaks the ego, not to destroy us, but to save us. He allows the proud to face storms that remind them they are not in control. He humbles kings, silences rulers, and softens the hardest hearts. Because as long as pride rules, love cannot grow. And without love, heaven cannot be reached. The proud heart says, "I don't need forgiveness," but the moment a person says, "God, I can't do this without you," something miraculous happens. The chains of pride break, and grace floods in. Heaven is filled with people who once fell on their knees and said, "I surrender." Arrogance can even disguise itself as spirituality. Some people become proud of their goodness, proud of their prayers, proud of their charity. But God looks not at the act, but at the heart behind it. Even good deeds done with arrogance are empty. Jesus said, "When you pray, do not do it to be seen. When you give, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, because the humble seek God's eyes, not human applause." To the proud, the idea of bowing feels like defeat. But in truth, bowing before God is victory. It is the moment the soul finds peace. Pride creates distance. Humility builds connection. Pride shouts. Humility listens. Pride destroys. Humility restores. The proud refuse to admit weakness. Yet weakness is the very place where God's strength is revealed. Heaven is not a place for those who walk over others to reach the top. It is for those who kneel, who serve, who love deeply. The proud cannot love fully because they cannot see beyond themselves. But the humble, they reflect heaven as light everywhere they go. Remember this: Lucifer was cast out of heaven not because he stole, not because he killed, but because he was proud. That is how serious pride is in God's eyes. Pride is rebellion against the divine order. It says, "I will not serve," and that is why arrogance cannot coexist with eternity, because heaven runs on love, and pride cannot love anyone but itself.